Warning: Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander readers are warned the following article contains images of deceased persons. Northern Territory Police Officer Zachary Rolfe will not face perjury charges despite a judge finding he lied while giving evidence about an arrest which left a man unconscious in 2018. Judge Greg Borchers found Rolfe had deliberately injured Aboriginal man, Ryder, during a violent arrest in Alice Springs. During the fifth day of the coronial inquest into the death of Yendamu teenager Kumanjayi Walker, Rolfe's lawyers raised objections regarding the Ryder incident being introduced as evidence. Read more: What we know about plans for the Queen's funeral. Legal representative for Rolfe, David Edwardson, today revealed that 2 days before the inquest commenced, the Assistant Commissioner for Police Bruce Porter provided a statement in which he disclosed the Ryder incident had been referred to the Director of Public Prosecutors. Edwardson raised concerns Rolfe could be charged with the criminal offence of perjury as a result. In response, legal representative for NT Police, Ian Freckleton, told the court, "This issue has been given further consideration, and the decision has been made to not refer the perjury issue to the Department of Public Prosecutions. Constable Rolfe will not be charged with perjury in relation to this issue," he said. Rolfe's lawyers launched last-minute objections to evidence. Rolfe's lawyers have lodged a series of last-minute objections to evidence they say could undermine the inquest into the death of Walker. David Edwardson said there is a body of evidence which could threaten to demonize his client if introduced before the court. It comes 5 days into the coronial inquest into the death of Walker after he was shot and killed by Rolfe in November 2019. Rolfe has since returned to active duty after being acquitted on all charges earlier this year. It was a tense morning inside the courtroom as counsel assisting the coroner, Dr. Peggy Dwyer, scolded Rolfe's representatives for failing to raise their objections earlier. 4 days before this inquest commenced, correspondence was filed on behalf of Constable Rolfe to notify Your Honor that objections were made to 13 of the questions on the issues list. No explanation has been provided to this court as to why that was done. No apology has been made to this court for the enormous imposition. There's been no apology to the family of Kumanjayi for that disruption or to other parties at the bar table. Edwardson described the evidence as inadmissible, unlawful and an attempt to go behind the verdict of not guilty by the jury at trial. Analysis: After a lifetime of preparation, Charles takes the throne. Among the objections is the issue of systemic racism or cultural bias allegedly evidenced in text messages downloaded from Constable Rolfe's phone. Edwardson said any attempt to use the texts to suggest Rolfe was motivated by racial bias when he shot Walker would constitute an attempt to undermine the acquittal. There is no evidence at all in the brief that could give rise to the notion that Zachary Rolfe had any racial motivation at the time he pulled the trigger of his Glock on the night of November 9 in 2019, he said. Edwardson told the court that while the inquest should endeavor to investigate racial bias generally within the police force, there is no evidence on the brief that suggests that could be attached to any police on November 9, 2019. Rolfe's legal team also objected to questions around the use of drugs or illicit drugs and whether they impacted his behavior on the night of the shooting. Dwyer said she didn't underestimate the impact of the trial and inquest on Rolfe. "I can assure his legal team that when Constable Rolfe comes to give evidence in these proceedings, he will be treated with respect and he will have an opportunity to reflect on the questions put to him because he has a lot of valuable information." The court was adjourned until Monday. In response to yesterday's proceedings, the cousin of Kumanjayi Walker, Samara Fernandez Brown said, "I am deeply saddened that these objections have been made because we want to hear the truth. We deserve it. If very important pieces of the puzzle are intentionally left out, a clear picture will not arise from this inquest, and we will be left with unanswered questions and very clear gaps that could have been filled."